Kyle and Amanda lived in a quiet suburban neighborhood where everyone knew each other. They had a beautiful house, 2 kids, and a successful career. Kyle worked as a financial analyst, and Amanda was a stay-at-home mom, taking care of the kids and the house. They had been together for over 10 years, and it seemed like their marriage was strong and happy. Amanda was a very caring and attentive person. She was always ready to help her kids and husband, and none of them could imagine life without her. Kyle, on the other hand, was more reserved and introverted. He rarely talked about his feelings and problems, but he was always willing to help his family. Lately, however, Kyle had started to spend more time away from home. He would often leave early in the morning and come back late at night, saying that he had a lot of work to do. Amanda started to feel like he was drifting away from her, and it caused her a lot of anxiety. Amanda tried to talk to Kyle about his schedule, but he just shrugged it off, saying that he was busy. She started to feel like she was losing him, and it scared her. She began to notice that Kyle was becoming more and more distant. He would often sit in front of the TV, staring blankly at the screen, and not even notice her presence. Amanda tried to shake off the feeling, telling herself that Kyle was just stressed with work, but deep down, she knew that something was wrong. She just didn't know what it was. She started to pay more attention to Kyle's behavior, trying to understand what was going on. She noticed that he was checking his phone more often, and when she asked him who was calling, he would say it was just a colleague. Amanda's mind was filled with questions and doubts. She didn't know what was happening to her marriage, but she knew she had to do something to save it. She decided to try to talk to Kyle again, to see if she could get him to open up about what was going on. But as she approached him, she could see the distance in his eyes, and she knew that it wouldn't be easy. As the days went by, Amanda's anxiety grew. She felt like she was walking on eggshells, never knowing what would happen next. She was desperate to find a way to reconnect with Kyle, to bring their marriage back to what it once was. But as she looked at him, she couldn't shake the feeling that it might be too late. Amanda's attempts to talk to Kyle about their marriage only seemed to push him further away. He would get defensive and tell her that everything was fine, that she was just being paranoid. But Amanda knew what she felt, and she knew that something was wrong. As the days turned into weeks, Amanda's anxiety turned into despair. She felt like she was losing Kyle, and she didn't know how to get him back. She started to wonder if she had done something wrong, if she had somehow driven him away. She replayed their conversations over and over in her head, trying to figure out what she had said or done that had caused him to pull away. Despite her best efforts, Amanda couldn't shake the feeling that Kyle was hiding something from her. She started to notice that he was being more secretive than usual, that he would quickly hang up the phone when she walked into the room. She began to wonder if he was having an affair, if he had met someone else. Amanda's mind was a jumble of emotions, a mix of fear, anger, and sadness. She didn't know what to do, or who to turn to. She felt like she was alone, like she was the only one who could see the problems in their marriage. One day, Amanda decided to take a walk around the neighborhood. She needed some fresh air and some time to clear her head. As she walked, she noticed a woman watching her from across the street. The woman was standing in front of a house that Amanda had never really noticed before. It was a small, unassuming house, with a neatly manicured lawn. Amanda felt a shiver run down her spine as she caught the woman's eye. There was something about the way the woman was looking at her, something that made Amanda feel like she was being sized up. Amanda quickly looked away, feeling a sense of unease. She didn't know what to make of the woman's gaze, but she knew she didn't like it. As Amanda continued her walk, she couldn't shake the feeling that the woman was still watching her. She glanced back over her shoulder, but the woman was gone. Amanda breathed a sigh of relief, telling herself she was just being paranoid. But the feeling of being watched lingered, and Amanda couldn't shake the sense that something was off. As the days went by, Amanda couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. She kept thinking about the woman she had seen watching her, and she couldn't help but wonder if there was a connection between the woman and Kyle's strange behavior. Amanda tried to push the thoughts out of her mind, but they kept creeping back in. She started to feel like she was losing her grip on reality, like she was becoming paranoid, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something was going on, something that she didn't know about. One day, Amanda decided to do some digging. She started by looking through Kyle's phone records, trying to see if there were any suspicious numbers. As she scrolled through the list, one number caught her eye. It was a number that Kyle had called multiple times, a number that Amanda didn't recognize. Amanda's heart started racing as she wondered who the number belonged to. She decided to do a reverse search, trying to find out who the number was registered to. As she waited for the results, she felt a sense of anxiety building up inside of her. Finally, the results came back. The number was registered to a woman named Brianna. Amanda's heart sank as she realized that Kyle had been in contact with another woman. She felt a wave of anger wash over her, followed by a deep sense of sadness. Amanda didn't know what to do. She felt like her world was crashing down around her, like everything she thought she knew was a lie. She started to wonder if she had been blind to the signs, if she had been ignoring the warning signs. As she sat there, trying to process her emotions, Amanda heard the sound of the front door opening. Kyle was home. Amanda's heart started racing as she wondered what she should do. Should she confront him, or should she wait and see what he had to say? Amanda took a deep breath and decided to wait. She wanted to see if Kyle would come to her, if he would explain what was going on. But as she waited, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was in for a surprise that would change everything. Kyle walked into the room, a look of calm on his face. But as he saw Amanda, his expression changed. He looked guilty, like he had been caught doing something wrong. Amanda's heart sank as she realized that her worst fears were true. Something was going on, something that Kyle didn't want her to know about. "Hey," Kyle said, trying to sound casual. "How was your day?" Amanda just looked at him, her eyes filled with tears. She didn't know what to say, or how to react. All she knew was that she felt betrayed, like her whole world had been turned upside down. Amanda's eyes were fixed on Kyle, her mind racing with thoughts and emotions. She couldn't believe what she was seeing, what she was feeling. Kyle's calm demeanor was a facade, a mask that hid the truth. "Who is she?" Amanda asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Kyle's expression changed, a look of surprise and guilt flashing across his face. "Who is who?" he asked, trying to play dumb. Amanda's anger boiled over, her voice rising. "Don't lie to me, Kyle. I know. I saw the phone records. I know you've been talking to someone else." Kyle sighed, his shoulders slumping in defeat. "Amanda, I don't know what to say." Amanda's eyes filled with tears, her heart breaking. "You don't know what to say? You don't know what to say? You've been lying to me, cheating on me, and you don't know what to say?" Kyle took a step forward, his hands outstretched. "Amanda, please, just listen to me." But Amanda was beyond listening. She was beyond reason. She was consumed by anger and hurt, her emotions raw and exposed. "Get out!" she spat, her voice venomous. "Get out of my house, out of my life. I don't want to ever see you again." Kyle's face fell, his eyes filling with tears. "Amanda, please, don't say that. I love you." But Amanda was unmoved. She was beyond forgiveness, beyond love. She was consumed by hatred and anger, her heart turned to stone. "Get out," she repeated, her voice cold and hard. Kyle nodded, his shoulders slumping in defeat. He turned and walked out of the house, leaving Amanda alone with her tears and her anger. As the door closed behind him, Amanda collapsed to the floor, her body racked with sobs. She had never felt such pain, such hurt. She had never felt so betrayed. But as she lay there, something inside of her began to stir. A spark of anger, a flame of hatred. It grew and grew, consuming her, until she was nothing but a burning ball of fury. And in that moment, Amanda knew that she would never be the same again. She would never love again, never trust again. She would never be whole again. The door to her heart had been closed, locked and barred, and it would never be opened again. Amanda lay on the floor for what felt like hours, her body racked with sobs. She couldn't believe what had happened, what Kyle had done. She couldn't believe that he had betrayed her, that he had lied to her. As she lay there, she felt a sense of numbness wash over her. It was as if she was detached from her body, watching herself from outside. She saw herself lying on the floor, saw the tears streaming down her face, saw the pain and hurt etched on her features. But she didn't feel anything. She was numb, empty, hollow. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Amanda slowly got to her feet. She stumbled into the bathroom, splashed water on her face, and stared at herself in the mirror. She looked like a stranger, a person she didn't recognize. Her eyes were red and puffy, her skin pale and drawn. She looked like she had been through a war, like she had been ravaged by some unseen force. Amanda took a deep breath, trying to calm herself down. She knew she had to get out of the house, had to get away from the memories of Kyle. She grabbed her purse and keys and headed out into the night. She drove for hours, not knowing where she was going or what she was doing. She just knew she had to get away, had to escape the pain and hurt that was consuming her. As she drove, Amanda felt a sense of freedom wash over her. She was finally free from Kyle, free from the lies and the cheating. She was finally free to be herself, to live her own life. But as she looked in the rearview mirror, she saw a figure standing on the sidewalk. It was a woman with long blonde hair and a white dress. Amanda's heart skipped a beat as she realized who it was. It was Brianna, the woman Kyle had been cheating with. Amanda's anger and hurt boiled over, and she slammed on the brakes. She got out of the car, her heart pounding in her chest. "Brianna!" Amanda spat, her voice venomous. "I should have known it was you." Brianna looked up, a look of surprise on her face. "Amanda," she said, her voice trembling. I didn't mean to hurt you." Amanda laughed, a cold, hard laugh. "You didn't mean to hurt me? You didn't mean to hurt me? You've destroyed my marriage, my life. You've ruined everything." Brianna took a step back, her eyes wide with fear. "Amanda, please, don't say that." But Amanda was beyond reason. She was beyond forgiveness. She was consumed by anger and hurt, her heart turned to stone. "You're going to pay for what you've done," Amanda spat, her voice cold and hard. "You're going to pay for destroying my life." And with that, Amanda turned and walked away, leaving Brianna standing alone on the sidewalk. Amanda walked away from Brianna, her heart still pounding with anger and hurt. She couldn't believe what had happened, what Kyle and Brianna had done. She felt like her whole world had been turned upside down. As she walked, Amanda couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. She looked over her shoulder, but saw nothing. She quickened her pace, her senses on high alert. Suddenly, she heard footsteps behind her. She spun around, her heart racing, and saw Brianna following her. "Amanda, please," Brianna said, her voice trembling. "I want to talk to you." Amanda's anger boiled over. "Leave me alone," she spat. "I don't want to talk to you." But Brianna kept following her, her eyes pleading. "Amanda, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you." Amanda stopped and turned around, her eyes blazing. "You're sorry? You're sorry? You've destroyed my marriage, my life. You've ruined everything." Brianna took a step back, her eyes wide with fear. "Amanda, please, don't say that." But Amanda was beyond reason. She was beyond forgiveness. She was consumed by anger and hurt. Her heart turned to stone. "You're going to pay for what you've done," Amanda spat, her voice cold and hard. "You're going to pay for destroying my life." And with that, Amanda turned and walked away, leaving Brianna standing alone on the sidewalk. As she walked, Amanda felt a sense of determination wash over her. She was going to make sure that Brianna paid for what she had done. She was going to make sure that she suffered. And then, suddenly, she saw it. A way to hurt Brianna, to make her pay for what she had done. Amanda's eyes narrowed, her mind racing with plans. She was going to make sure that Brianna suffered, that she paid for destroying her life. Amanda's plan was to confront Brianna at her home, to make her pay for what she had done. She drove to Brianna's house, her heart pounding with anger and anticipation. As she arrived at the house, Amanda saw that Brianna was alone. She was sitting on the couch, watching TV. Amanda's anger boiled over as she saw how calm and relaxed Brianna was. Amanda got out of the car and walked up to the door. She knocked loudly, her heart pounding in her chest. Brianna answered the door, a look of surprise on her face. "Amanda," Brianna said, her voice trembling. "What are you doing here?" Amanda pushed past Brianna and into the house. "I'm here to talk to you," she said, her voice cold and hard. "I'm here to make you pay for what you've done." Brianna backed away, her eyes wide with fear. "Amanda, please," she said. "Don't do anything rash." But Amanda was beyond reason. She was consumed by anger and hurt, her heart turned to stone. "You've destroyed my marriage," Amanda spat. "You've ruined my life. You're going to pay for what you've done." Brianna tried to defend herself, but Amanda was too angry. She was too hurt. She lashed out at Brianna, her fists flying. Amanda took a knife from the shelf and stabbed 3 times in the chest. Amanda's anger and hurt boiled over, and she lost control. In the heat of the moment, Amanda didn't think about the consequences. She didn't think about what she was doing. She just reacted, her body and mind driven by anger and hurt. And then, suddenly, it was over. Brianna lay on the floor, her body motionless. As she looked down at Brianna, Amanda felt a sense of shock wash over her. She had never meant for things to go this far. She had never meant to hurt Brianna so badly. But it was too late now. Brianna was lying lifeless on the floor. Amanda's mind was racing as she tried to think of what to do. She knew she had to get out of there, to get away from the scene of the crime. But as she turned to leave, Amanda saw something that made her heart skip a beat. She saw a police car pulling up outside, its lights flashing. Amanda's heart sank as she realized she was in trouble. She was in big trouble. Amanda's heart sank as she saw the police car pulling up outside. She knew she was in trouble, and she didn't know what to do. The police officers got out of the car and walked up to the house. Amanda could see the concern etched on their faces as they approached. "Ma'am, we had a report of a disturbance," one of the officers said. "Can we talk to you for a minute?" Amanda hesitated, unsure of what to say. She knew she couldn't tell them the truth, not yet. She needed to think of a story, a way to explain what had happened. I don't know what you're talking about," Amanda said, trying to sound innocent. The officer raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, we have a witness who says you were involved in a physical altercation with the woman who lives here. Can you tell us what happened?" Amanda's mind was racing as she tried to think of a way to get out of this. She knew she couldn't tell the truth, not yet. She needed to stall for time. I don't know what you're talking about," Amanda repeated, trying to sound more convincing. The officer sighed. "Ma'am, we have to go through and make sure. Please turn around and put your hands behind your back." Upon entering the house, the police noticed Brianna's body on the kitchen floor. Amanda was arrested. As the officer handcuffed her, Amanda couldn't help but think about how her life had changed. The officer read Amanda her rights as they walked her to the police car. Amanda listened, her mind numb with fear and uncertainty. As they drove to the police station, Amanda couldn't help but think about what the future held. She knew she was in trouble, and she didn't know if she was going to be able to get out of it. The police car pulled up to the station, and Amanda was led out of the car and into the booking area. She was fingerprinted and photographed, and then led to a cell to await her arraignment. Amanda's mind was racing as she tried to process everything that had happened. She knew she had made a mistake, and now she was going to have to face the consequences. But little did Amanda know, the worst was yet to come. The police had evidence. Evidence that would change everything. And as Amanda sat in her cell, she had no idea what was about to hit her. Amanda sat in her cell, her mind racing with thoughts of what was to come. She knew she was in trouble, but she was determined to fight for her freedom. As she waited for her arraignment, Amanda's thoughts turned to her family. She wondered what they were thinking, what they were going through. She knew they would be worried about her, and she felt a pang of guilt for putting them through this. Just as Amanda was starting to feel like she was going to lose her mind, a guard came to her cell. "Amanda, you have a visitor," he said. Amanda's heart skipped a beat as she wondered who it could be. She hoped it was her lawyer. come to tell her that everything was going to be okay. But as she walked into the visiting room, Amanda's heart sank. It was Kyle, her husband. He looked tired and worried, and Amanda could see the concern etched on his face. "Amanda, what's going on?" Kyle asked, his voice shaking. "I had no idea it was this bad. I had no idea you were in so much trouble." Amanda felt a surge of anger at Kyle's words. How could he not know? How could he not see what was happening? "You had no idea?" Amanda repeated, her voice cold. "You had no idea? You're the one who caused all of this, Kyle. You're the one who cheated on me, who lied to me. You're the one who destroyed our marriage." Kyle looked taken aback by Amanda's words. "Amanda, I don't know what to say. I'm sorry. I was wrong to cheat on you, and I was wrong to lie to you. But I never meant for things to go this far. I never meant for you to get in trouble." Amanda laughed, a cold, hard laugh. "You never meant for things to go this far? You never meant for me to get in trouble? You're unbelievable, Kyle. You're unbelievable." As Amanda spoke, she could see the realization dawning on Kyle's face. He was starting to understand the gravity of the situation, the severity of what he had done. And as Amanda looked at him, she felt a sense of satisfaction. Kyle was finally starting to understand. He was finally starting to see the damage he had done. But as the visit came to an end, Amanda couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. But little did Amanda know, the worst was yet to come. The police had evidence. Evidence that would change everything. And as Amanda sat in her cell, she had no idea what was about to hit her. The evidence was a video that showed Amanda's confrontation with Brianna. The footage showed Amanda stabbing Brianna 3 times. As the police watched the video, they knew they had their proof. They knew they had enough evidence to convict Amanda of the crime. And as Amanda sat in her cell, she had no idea that her fate was already sealed. She had no idea that she was going to be convicted, that she was going to spend years in prison. Amanda sat in the courtroom, her heart racing with anticipation. She had been waiting for this moment for what felt like an eternity. The judge entered the room, and the bailiff called the court to order. Amanda's lawyer stood up, a confident smile on his face. "Your Honor, the defense rests its case," he said. The prosecutor stood up, a scowl on his face. "The prosecution has proven beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant is guilty of the crime," he said. The judge nodded, his expression serious. "I have examined the evidence and find the accused guilty of murder." Amanda felt a wave of shock wash over her. She had been prepared for this moment, but it still felt like a punch to the gut. The judge continued. "I hereby sentence the defendant to 20 years in prison with the possibility of parole after 15 years. Amanda felt a sense of numbness wash over her. 20 years in prison. It was a long time, but she knew she would survive. As she was led away in handcuffs, Amanda caught a glimpse of Kyle in the courtroom. He looked relieved, like a weight had been lifted off his shoulders. Amanda felt a surge of anger towards him, but she pushed it down. She knew she had to let go of her anger, to move on with her life. As she walked out of the courtroom, Amanda felt a sense of closure. She knew she would never forget what had happened, but she was ready to move on. And as she walked away from the courtroom, Amanda felt a sense of hope. She knew she would be okay, that she would survive this and come out stronger on the other side.